All right, traders. Hey, welcome on back this not so Monday, but it sure feels like it. This Tuesday, January 20th. Great to see all of us back here. Lita, Kathleen, Brad, Michael, Grant, all of our students here, at least that are joining us in the phase one class coming on up. I'm looking forward to having you there. Great to see you at least here right now. Great to have all of us, though, back collectively. If you're joining us on social media, you included, YouTube, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, wherever you may be residing out there on the internet streets this afternoon. Just make sure to hit the follow and subscribe button down below, just at Cyber Trading You on the lower left. A long day on the stick here between class, coaching. We got our weekly workshop that we had conducted earlier, Traders Talk. And all while doing that, we've had a great day. A bunch of stocks moving on up. I know the market's down, but we've done really well across the board, down, up, you name it. I mean, we always say stocks go up and down. The chart reads from left to right. We don't need to overcomplicate it out there. Just follow the trend. And that's largely what we're going to be talking about coming on up in our next class at 3 o'clock Eastern later on today. The phase one course, we're going to be talking more about core charting principles and just simple support, simple resistance, talking about the 1 minute chart, 5 minute chart maybe, but otherwise, obviously going further into the daily, the weekly chart as well. What translates on the day trading side of things will trickle into your swing trading. It will eventually trickle into your options. That's a separate conversation. But coming on up at 3 o'clock, 3:05 Eastern, we'll kick things off at the phase one stock course. But with that in mind, man, we've done really well. Like I said today, IBRX really well. This CRVS just seemingly won't stop going up. Don't take that as financial advice. Obviously, this is going to come back down soon enough. This thing, though, I think this is one of two trades today that kind of around the same name, same type of ticker or stock name. But CRVS, this was the one on the morning list that did really well early on pre-market wise. It obviously built up, broke above resistance at first, more of a head fake, or it came back down, but then it made the better move afterwards. So from that point, you ended up seeing that same pattern later on, built up towards resistance here going into the early to mid-afternoon. Around 1650, around 17. Just first test right here where my cursor is. You can kind of call that a pop and drop type of move, but it really stuck well. It held consolidation pretty nicely, and then it obviously just blasted higher just shortly afterwards. So I don't know what the news is out on this stock. I'm not really the news guy too often here. I just know last week with the IBRX, that was the big one that I saw the news. I'm like, ooh, I like that. I think this has to do something with like phase one trial, their endpoint, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Normally a bunch of things way above my pay grade and a bunch of things I can't really pronounce. I'm not really that great of a reader. But though, with that in mind, though, heading into the afternoon, I'm good at trading, good at building a watch list for the afternoon. So at least as long as I don't botch the ticker here, CRVS, we'll add this to our watch list. Looks good for you. And let's see where our levels are in this trade. Yeah, this thing broke way above different levels that I'd called out earlier on this afternoon, or earlier on this morning even. So we're kind of not in uncharted territories, but in territories I wasn't prepared to talk about. So around 1750-ish, 1775, pretty good top back from 16 into 17. All-time high seems to be like around 22. Listen, your guess is as good as mine as far as where this will be by the end of the day today. I think that we'll have a similar take as far as where this will be by the end of the week. This is some low float, no name company, whatever the news is. I'm sure it's not as good as this seems to be here. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is an overblown reaction. Probably going to drop back down at some point later this week, if not even tomorrow, perhaps even tonight. But, for right now, we'll put this on our list here. It still looks pretty strong. All right, so what we'll do, let's just go over the IBRX briefly. IBRX, check this out. I was posting this a little bit also just inside our live trading room here, and this seems to be more of a ladder here kicking in. 705, big 300,000+ share seller. Now that's all down here at 680. So, we were calling out this big sell order. It seems like it's going to push the stock down, weigh it down. But here's the issue. Well, it's not an issue, actually. It's a really good thing. Really, since this order showed up, it dipped a bit. Oh, wow, it's been impressive. This has been sticking like glue. Even with this ladder down, yeah, it's dropping. But is it really making lower lows? Like from here, is it really dropping that emphatically from this point? It was at $3 last week. It's up over 100% still. So if this was really going to push the stock down, I would figure you'd see it sooner rather than later. The longer it takes, then I feel like eventually this seller is going to get squeezed out and then whoop, right back on the up and up. I don't mind putting this on our list for the afternoon. The CRVS is more of the flavor of the day, flavor of the afternoon. So that'll take priority. And just also in the chat right now, Kevin, you've been killing it with me from last week. If I'm still in. Well, this is what I was afraid of, right? This is what I was telling everyone here earlier, right? And Kevin's been around the block himself, let alone just, with CTU here. He knows what he's about. He's seen this before also, where just out of thin air, just you see a company have the news of doing a common stock direct offering, whatever the hell it is, might be convertible senior notes, whatever. It tanks the stock price. That's actually what I'm afraid of with the IBRX. You got to cross your T's, dot your I's. You never know when that could happen. Pre-market, aftermarket, regular market, right? Seemingly it happened here. So this was a great trade that we had, not even just from today. We've been on top of this trade. Rich has been killing it on this trade from the end of last week here too. I mean, just calling it out at least, mapping it out and calling out the icebergs to all of our students here at least. And broke higher today. Phenomenal run, day over day over day over day. But yeah, for right now, I think this thing is in the pits. So good call out from Kevin. Not a surprising call out. And with that, we'll move on to greener pastures. So let's go right from top to bottom here, see what we could build up. That's good. That's good. This, not so much. I think this is done for today. Low float, already trading a ton of shares, and balloons burst on that one, I think. This is still good for the time being. Just be careful. Same news might happen there at the direct offering. You never know when that hits. Pun intended. Later, this is as creative as I'll get here. With the direct offerings, common stock offerings, like you see here on the SEGG. It's kind of like, the lottery. Get it? SEGGlottery.com. All right, don't throw the tomatoes at me so fast. Don't throw the tomatoes so fast at me. We got to do class. All right, we'll keep it moving. That was as creative as I'll get there. But seriously, you're playing the lottery. You're playing, Russian roulette. You're playing the lottery with these common stock, direct stock offerings. So it's unfortunate there, but ACRS, hey, this is looking pretty sharp. Good spread. Really nice move. Really, really nice move. I wish I was in this type of move. Tradable, looking good today. Not so great long term. So, very similar to IBRX. Can't trust it as far as you could throw it just yet. I don't know if this has as significant of a news headline as IBRX. This will be the only one I'll check out for you here today. Let's see. Monday afternoon, phase 1. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is the one. So I thought CRVS had this actually. Got my stocks twisted up. So this is the one that has atopic dermatitis, news, phase 1B. So in terms of a roadmap and FDA approval, this is not close. But hey, it's up 82%. So it just goes to show how powerful at least, these short squeezes can be, and really tradable stock right now. I'm going to put this absolutely on our list. I got to separate it from CRVS though. My dyslexia is going to kill me there. All right, let's see what else we got though for right now. RAPT, buyout. Boyle was doing like kind of all right here, kind of pushing up to make a new high just before. Now it seems a little like flattened, kind of pulling back a bit. Got to have something just steadying at the highs. AKAN is actually a lot closer to the highs than it is the lows, and from where it had opened up here at least. So this isn't a bad player for right now. It's got a good spread, 11,000, 12,000 share bid. Maybe that could hold. I'll come back to this at the end of the meeting, that AKAN. I'll come back to that. Pola had a great move early on today. Talk about a stock that was tradable, had good orders out there, nice icebergs, tight spread. But what time? Oh, I should have used this as our example in class, guys. So we learned in class earlier today, reversal time around 10:30. This is a really good example of that. So I didn't show that at the time. I had other stocks we were kind of poking at here, but really good example. Built lower highs after, pulled back. The good old Christmas tree pattern there, right? Oh, look at that. Whoa. All right. Talk about calling out your levels, huh? So earlier today on the NUAI trade, Just showing at least the commentary, NUAI. These are all the comments that were posted in the trading room today on the NUAI. So this got halted early on today. Fausto, I think, had it on the list, or it was one of the first ones he called out at. But he was talking about it on the mic, and I was just telling our traders here, listen, this has historical resistance, an area, historical area, 620 to 633. That should be resistance if given the chance to get tested. But bam, right there, pull back, and this thing looks done for right now. It's unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, had to have expected that resistance to have held. So with the market down, probably not going to find a whole lot on the way up, except probably some inverse tickers. So you got the UVIX, which goes inverse basically in essence to the SPY. Ipso facto, it's the fear volatility index, and this is one of the ETFs that focus on it. This is the one that's probably more within our price range. Yeah, the VXY one's like $42. In terms of one over the other, I'd rather the cheaper, more liquid one. That's up more percentage wise, actually. So we'll add that. Looks good. X Air. This thing's actually looking not half bad. I'll come back to this, kind of like the AKAN trade. A little, could use a little kick in volume, but it's making more of an afternoon move. So that part I like. Definitely a couple trades I'll come back to at the end. Goro, not terrible. Another one that probably needs a kick, but it's doing all right. UNG. All right, get a lot of the inverse tickers here, right? Some of the inverse tickers at least. All right, so that's pretty much it really otherwise. If there's anything else looking great, folks, then you let me know. Apps, SanDisk, too expensive normally, so. All right, probably going to find a bunch more on the way down, loser side here, so let's just check that out right now and finish up. I mean, this is the least surprising call out that we could ever make. What goes up comes back down twice as fast, or otherwise what makes the percent gainers list one day makes the percent losers list the next, right? No surprise there. So that was Friday. That was just last week's news. Oh, real brief, just for people on social media. I didn't comment on this to you, but just I see the SOLT ETF here, some Bitcoin stuff. So I talked about this early when the market opened up for our students here. I was in on a Bitcoin position and I had a pretty good lead on this trade, just in from like 90,000, 91,000, and had a good break above this area, right? So you're figuring, all right, well, this should look great to move up towards 100,000. Baseline minimum, resistance should flip into support. No, like baseline minimum. Well, the second this breaks below here, actually, it wasn't the second it broke below it because I woke up. It was the middle of the night. It was already way below it. It happened like overnight, and it pulled back. So I took it was like a $500-600 profit on it. It wasn't anything big. It was up a lot more. Wanted even more out of it, but listen, it's not the right time, I don't think. So I think that it's better to hold off now. We're back below that chart level. But I think that we're probably going to pull back now, at least towards 85. And whether we continue to go in this range or whether we break the range and go much lower, I'm not confident either way in. So I'm hands off now. I am hands off Bitcoin. I'm going to wait this sucker out. That means like SOLT, same deal, XRP, like all the crypto stuff, out, out, out. That was just from the weekend. So better to take some profit than no profit. Better to take no profit than take a giant fat loss. So, at least better realize that now than ever. I mean, on the flip side, perhaps Mara could be a good short then, right? If we're thinking about being locally bearish on Bitcoin and not really being confident on the bullish side of things, in stocks like BMNR, MSTR, not bad looks. Not bad looks. Like to buy puts, short them on the way down. Just not really a great need to focus on them for today. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll come back to them. CRML is not really doing too much though either. Iron I kind of like on the way up. Just, hey, with lower highs comes a lower low. So this could be a pretty good short. NCLH is at the low of the day right now, down over 5%. So in terms of tradability, I wouldn't mind kind of like putting this on our list, if anything. I don't know if news came out on them. Big gap down over, the weekend with the market, obviously that was with, but getting beat up pretty bad right now. Next support ain't really until like 1850. unless if you're going to see if past resistance can flip. And uh, yeah, that's not looking great. This could be a decent short. All right, NCLH, why not? I'm kind of selling myself into putting this on our list. There we go. Real quick from Ray on Twitter, on X. There we go, Ray. Great to have you here joining us. What do you think about IBRX? What's going to happen? So I went over that extensively in our workshop earlier today. That's probably on our Twitter feed, on our YouTube, directly on our website, cybertradinguniversity.com. So definitely check that out. It should be like right there on our Twitter account. But otherwise, it was like a full hour-long workshop where I went over mostly, honestly, it was like most of the workshop was on this. So gave you like pretty much all my thoughts there. We're thinking pretty good. You know, always got to cross your T's, dot your I's in terms of like, we just saw it happen on SEGG Live. Oh my God. Oh my God. I feel bad for anyone in this thing. Listen, we see it happen right now. You never know what's going to happen with these direct offerings, common stock offerings. IBRX is 300 million shares in the float, so that ain't half bad for a small cap stock. But they could always use more, and certainly outstanding shares, the float, whatever you call it. Common stock direct offering, that would definitely help that cause out. Unfortunately, that would tank the stock price temporarily. So that could happen to any of these small cap, no-name companies, essentially. And my apologies if you love IBRX and you think it's not a no-name company, still a small cap. And with that, hey, these offerings can definitely happen on those trades. So just be careful. I just feel pretty good long-term though, right? Or feel good on the short-term rather, I should say. Definitely long-term, but I'll probably jump ship on this at some point, the IBRX, and move on to another flavor of the week. That's all. That's just traders' nature here at CTU. All right, folks, I think that pretty much just about wraps it up. Let me know. Last call here from inside our live trading room. Tim, the UNG. I saw the Boyle, the UNG. I'm going to pass on it for right now. I'm not saying it can't go up any higher. It just seems like a little choppy for this afternoon. So I'd put FIG on the watch list if I was able to short it. That's for damn straight. I got out on this thing Friday afternoon, and just no ties to it, no interest in the company. So if it's not going to hold over my level, well, it's likely going to keep moving down. But this is at all-time lows. Oh, I wish I was able to short this thing, right? This is like taking candy from a kid on the way down. But otherwise, though, I think that we're going to call it for the time being, folks. I like what we got. We got a decent little list here to work with. Let me just wrap up with like the larger caps. NVIDIA on the way down there, already below 180. Tesla looks like a pretty good short. Sure, it's going to contain support at some point over 400, unless it's a brutal shakedown, a lower low type. But I'm sure it's going to hold over 400, a little bit above that over time. But could be a decent little short today. Amazon, obviously, down big. Apple down decent. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just kind of put them all on our side list. If you do well on the larger cap stocks for anything that is down, dropping off pretty steadily. If you're not buying puts, then just day trading the stock on the way down. You know who you are, right? And you know what stocks to focus on then. But we don't want to build up the list to be too big. So we're gonna stick with what we got. If you can't short, then how about this? Remember, you got the inverse ETFs, TSLZ going up as Tesla stock going down, MSTZ ETF going up as MSTR stock going down. But then that's where you got this one, which is on our list here already, the UVIX. This is kind of the VIX one. So this is kind of like the old school way to hedge against the market. If you can't short stocks, you would do like TVIX, UVXY, SQQQ. It's basically the same thought. So UVIX is the one that we're going to kind of tail there. All right, folks. But hey, otherwise, best of luck trading going into the market close. If you're joining us on social, if you're just a member inside our live trading room, hey, real quick, who's joining me in class, the Phase 1 stock course? If you're a bronze level student or higher, you have access. But who's going to be joining me in class this afternoon? We're going to be going over core charting strategies. So looking forward to that. Basically, I'll show you right here. That is going to be our cover slide. So looking forward to it. Nice little revamp, little upgrade to our PowerPoint deck. If you had missed out on the morning class, shame on you. How dare you? No, I'm kidding. I tease. I'm obviously kidding with that. The classes are always there for you. So you never need to catch them live. I try and instill as much value in the recording as I do live if you're there. So if you had missed out for any one reason or another, no sweat. It's likely already on the student portal. All right. But hey, folks, best of luck trading going into the close. If I don't catch you in class, then all the best, and we'll see you at least tomorrow morning. Take care.